Greetings, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. My name is Lewis Marks. I'm here at the Rope-a-Dope Room in East Philadelphia, and we're here for day 7 of the 9 Takes Global Composer Project. If you're just joining us, we have broadcast 6 of these so far, and you can find them by scrolling back on our Facebook or our YouTube page. The concept is started by Russ Kaplan, and he has put together 9 composers from around the world since the beginning of lockdown, and each one has composed a song, shared only the charts with the other composers, and they've created in lockdown their own full concert versions of all 9 songs. So what we've discovered over the last 6 days is something new and amazing, because musicians are hearing their song as interpreted by other musicians, and while everything is clearly the same, everything is not the same. It's very unique and very different depending on what part of the world, what a person's musical influence is, and what their particular style and interpretation is. So it's been really exciting. Today we're going to visit with Aidan Thorne in Cardiff, Wales, for his performance. And before we do that, we're gonna jump into the room and chat with Aidan and a few of the other composers about the project. I want to remind you that you can at any time send a donation to paypal.me/ropeadope to support this project, and please do revisit later some of the previous recordings so that you can get an understanding. We'll also rebroadcast this at 5 p.m. today, so I'll see you then. But let's jump into the room now with Mr. Aidan Thorne and the composers. How's everyone doing?
Good morning, or good afternoon or evening.
There we are. So here we are, day 7 of 9, and I'm really excited about this one because this gentleman who has connected with us with his band Dusky, their record came out this year. This gentleman has been an exemplary citizen in a community and collaborative environment. Aidan Thorne has been on every call and is consistently interacting with his peers in this community. So it's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Aidan Thorne. How are you, sir?
Well, thanks. The pleasure's all mine, though. It's so amazing to get to listen to all the music. I think I said on the first day it was a bit like a drug. So I mean, this is the one I wouldn't be at as a sort of self-critical British person. I wouldn't come and watch my own one, but I hear all the same. So yeah, very good. Very excited to just see your reaction to solo bass. And also extra excited to hear Alex's tomorrow as a fellow rhythm section, whatever the word is.
Member, I guess.
Member.
I have a quick question. I have had a life of study. I pride myself on knowing things. And when we got your record, I really had to look up the geography of Wales, and just didn't have it right in my mind. First of all, I was thinking of an island off of England, right?
Well, yeah, kind of. It's kind of an island, attached island.
That's what I'm trying to get to. So if you could describe for us, like, what are like some of the like cultural or lifestyle and then musical differences that are particularly Welsh.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I think firstly, it's important to say I'm not actually Welsh. I'm half Australian, half English, but I've lived in Wales for 12 years. So I studied in Wales, and then I moved. I lived and stayed and made my musical connections. So I spend quite a lot of time in England doing work, or I used to before all the COVID stuff happened. But there is a huge difference, and I think, like most people who live in England and move over, I've sort of slowly started to learn the things myself. So, I mean, I guess the biggest difference is the Welsh language is entirely different to English. It's like Gaelic and Breton, which is sort of a bit like French, I guess. So it's a separate Celtic language, which I don't speak, which is a shame because it's an amazing language. But from all of that, musically, there's a huge ton of ancient folk music, which is sort of, I guess, half similar to Irish and Scottish folk music. Lots of dark themes and dark melodies, I guess, to go with the landscape. But yeah, very different to English stuff, and it's not really widely talked about apart from outside of the Celtic communities. So it's been a real learning curve for me to be in Wales and slowly sort of learn what there is to sort of steal. And and the name Dusky is sort of slowly derived from the Welsh word, which is dusky, which is to learn, the verb to learn.
Wow. Well, I'd also like to welcome to the room some of the other composers and get some questions going. Hello to Alexander Flood in Australia. Welcome. Ernest Ikwanga in Switzerland. Good to see you, Ernest. And of course, the mastermind, Mr. Russell Kaplan in New York. Welcome. Jazz fingers. And here in East Philadelphia, our musical expert, Mr. Fabian Brown. You see how it goes. I ask the general cultural question, and then Fabian can actually speak to music. So I'll pass it over to you, sir.
Thanks, Louis, and thanks, Aidan, for your time this morning. You know, a common theme that I've been asking the composers throughout, because this is a weird time, right? This is a weird time to be creative. This is a weird time to be productive. You either go mad in your house or you go super uber creative. Where are you at in that range? You know, how have you found your inspiration to be creative during such a weird time, man?
It's been, I mean, Russell's first email was a big help at the very beginning to have an immediate shot of creativity. So, I mean, as a composer and as a performer, so that was absolutely fantastic. Right now, I've done a self-imposed project to play as much Bach as possible on electric bass and try and make it sound nice. So that's sort of where I am. So it's kind of creative, but it's also kind of lots of precision. So I'm going through waves of creativity versus trying to be as methodical as possible, which is kind of cool, I guess.
I love it. I remember studying the Bach cello suites coming up, and that's a great book to go through and just kind of get some things happening. That's amazing. You know, being a bass player, talk a little bit about your compositional approach to creating music. You know, coming from your position, coming from your voice of a bass. I'm really excited to hear these pieces today.
It was a real sort of I mean, as well as being a bass player, I'm also an absolute novice when it comes to using home recording and videoing and editing and all that stuff. So the challenge of doing it was almost too good to miss up, which is why I sort of jumped right on. But from the bass player perspective, yeah, it's really interesting. I had ideas of wanting to either get my band involved, like Ernest did, or trying to multi-layer loads of different tracks, like some of the other guys have done. But then I thought the ultimate difficult task would be to actually try and do a solo concert without any of that as a bass player. So I've kind of cheated. I've played bass guitar as well as double bass. So there's a bit of difference in the set. So it starts on electric bass, then moves on, just so the audience doesn't fall into a deep sleep because of the sound of the double bass. But yeah, so I think that was the big challenge, and trying to keep it fresh and interesting without anyone else. Because for those of you that haven't listened to the Dusky record, I don't really play very much. I just play root notes, which is it's what the bass player's supposed to do. But I love a root note, so there are lots of non-root notes in this, which is exciting for me.
We can't wait to hear the non root notes. And you mentioned, switching it up so the audience doesn't fall asleep. You're too funny. What's a takeaway that you want the audience to grab from not only your take on all these compositions, but maybe an overall theme, for this whole entire project? What is something that you want the fans to take away from what we're doing here?
Oh, I guess, just on top of what everyone else has already said throughout these streams, just the idea of even in like the worst case scenarios, there's still art, there's still collaboration in a non-traditional sense, and it's all still exciting in a different way. So just to jump on board and try different things, whatever field you're in, to keep things flowing in some way.
Oh,
amen. I understand, Russ, that you have to jump in a little bit, so I want to give you a couple minutes of the mic if there's anything you want to add to this or ask Aidan.
I don't know. We've had a chance to like ask each other lots of questions and say a lot now, so I'm not sure I have anything more specific right now. I'm sure I'll have questions after we've watched the performance, but yeah, I'm very excited to see all these in this particular format. It's just, instrumentally, I think I might guess the most challenging thing any of us could try to tackle, on the one instrument solo. So.
Specifically, you mentioned in a previous airing that there was on your song you left out the bass.
Well, the specific bass line, yeah. I'll give you a piano demonstration since I'm at the instrument. The first thing I came up with for the song, actually, it was a drum groove. It was for my anniversary, my wife bought me a metal darbouk, which is the Middle Eastern drum, and I learned a few stock rhythms on YouTube for it, and one of them inspired this bass line. As a loop, and so that's how I started with it, and then I built a whole melody and chord progression around that. But that's not. And I kept the chord changes on the chart, but I left that precise bass line out of the chart because I thought that the rhythmic implications of it might dictate a little bit too much to the other musicians, and I think some of those rhythms are inherent in the melody as well. Lots of the other players kind of got that groove anyway, I think, but I just didn't want to be over specific, I guess, and everybody pretty much, I think that left the right amount of freedom in the end. So.
Well, I'm curious how Aidan responds to that, hearing that now, or.
It's kind of in there, I think. I don't really, and honestly, I don't actually remember what I did when I recorded it, because I wanted to keep it a little bit fresh, so I didn't have an absolute set thing. So I knew I was going to play melody, and I think I do some sort of bass line as an intro. But come to think of it, maybe I don't. Maybe I start with something entirely.
We're going to find out.
And Aidan, actually, what I recall, no spoilers for the audience, hopefully, but as I recall, I found it interesting that even though your instrument is traditionally a rhythm instrument, because of you kind of being there on your lonesome, this is maybe one of the not one of the most rhythmically oriented performances that we're going to see, and maybe more melodic and a little more out of time more often than the rest of us did, because you have to focus on melody a lot of the time, which I really like.
It's enjoyable. Well, let's jump in. I want to remind people this is Aidan Thorne in his version of the 9 Takes Global Performance Project. You can donate via paypal.me/ropeadope if you choose. And after you watch it, you can also find Aidan. Hit us in the comments. We'll put some links in there to Aidan's work, his band, and recently released album. So let's jump in. All right. That was truly amazing. Bear with me a second here. I have to turn sound off. Well, welcome back. Whew. Like Andrea's performance a few days ago, that has just an incredibly soothing and sort of soul healing feel to it. Um, when the lockdown first started, Spotify and music supervisors all put out the call for calming music, and I thought, well, this will last a minute, but I kind of get it now. Like, this could take the vibration and make things okay. Aidan, thank you so much. Um, I was thinking through that, just being connected to all of you is changing my relationship with music, gaining a greater understanding, not just of the people, but of each instrument. And this really highlights it for me. So, I don't often get to stop and listen to the bass. And then sometimes when we do, we get bass players that are putting out records that really, it's all about chops, right? It's about how many notes. And this is just helps me understand the nature of the instrument. It's really, really wonderful. So thank you. I'd like to open it up. Aidan, had you watched this back? Let me ask that question first. Is this the first time that you've watched
That's the first time and I did watch it back. I normally don't like to review my own work, but I figured as I'd watched everyone else's, I really should watch mine and try not to put a critical cap on. So it was really interesting for me, actually, having checked out everyone's performances thus far and listening to mine. I've sort of formed a lot more what I think the tune should be as a full thing, rather than just a solo. So actually listening back to it, it's quite fun to think, oh, I thought that would be fun. That's nice. I would, and so it's a really nice sort of progression to. It's a bit of a treat to go towards the end of the 9 takes to sort of get a sort of concreting of the tunes in my own head personally. Anyway,
I'd like to hear what Ernest has to say about your rendition of his song that closed out.
Actually, I'm amazed because I didn't expect that huge thing, Aidan is amazing and is one of my favorite bass player. I love what he's doing. I'm so pleased and I'm so blessed to watch him.
That's very kind, Ernest. When you were playing with your bass player, I was thinking, oh man, Ernest's bass player is amazing, and I thought I was going to be the only one on this, so it's good. I thought I'd have a free ticket, but that's very kind words. Thanks, man.
Next time you'll be on the background, man.
I really want to just kind of speak to the audience here a little bit for those that are watching. One of the things that we non-musicians don't always process is the sheer amount of personal risk that musicians take on a regular basis, to put the camera on and play songs for the first time from charts, knowing that the writer is going to be watching it and that the world is going to be watching it, and to do it alone, you're really just putting yourself out there, man, in a way that most of us would never even dream of. It's like walking naked down Fifth Avenue or something, you know. It's just like, here I am, accept me, you know, or not, you know. And it's like that must be that must just respect is all I can say. That's really stunning. Fabian, you had a couple of comments as we wrap up here. I think you posted in the chat. I'd love to hear your take on this as a musician.
I mean, well, first of all, I have a well deeper understanding of who Aidan is and what he's all about. It's funny because you listen to the Dusky record and it's not a bass player's record. It's not like it's not like you're saying, hey, it's all about me, it's all about me. You really the presentation is different. And today what I heard was, dude, Aidan, your instrument, your way around the instrument, both on the upright and both on the electric, and both with your bow work. It was just really phenomenal to again know these tunes better and better every single day from the different takes, but then to hear your representation, your take on it was just phenomenal. It's not an easy thing to do, to be a bass player, to play melodies, to drop some chords in there, to superimpose a bass line while going back to the melody. Dude, it's just amazing. Just great stuff all around, bro. Great stuff all around.
That's so kind. Yeah, so it's just from the other artists to be able to let me take away some of the parts that would be impossible with bass. So it's it's the trust that everyone else gives to each other that it makes all that stuff possible. So yeah, I mean, thanks to everyone who's been involved to allow that to happen, really, because it's a beautiful thing.
I could hear my brain was starting to add the other instrumentation, especially on the last song. It's like in some distant way I was hearing all other parts of it.
Hearing Ernest singing it, right?
Yeah, Ernest singing, and just and the guitar, and the just and visions of people dancing, and it was all there. It was really, really beautiful. Well, I think we've come to a close. I want to remind people that this is the 9 Takes Global Composer Project. We've just seen a wonderful performance from Aidan Thorne in Cardiff, Wales. We will rebroadcast this at 5 p.m. today and give you a chance to see it again. You can also scroll backwards on our timeline and see some of the other projects. We are queued up for one more day, and this I think he dropped off out of the room, but Alexander Flood tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which I believe is 11 a.m. in Australia. All these time travelers from the future coming to visit me. Amazing. I want to thank everyone. You can donate at paypal.me/ropeadope and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook. Like us on Facebook, and you'll get more notifications of these kinds of projects. I want to remind people that Aidan has an album out with Dusky, and that link is in the chat. Please support independent musicians. It's literally one of the most important things to do, to have this beauty continue to stream through the world. Aidan Thorne, thank you so much. Mr. Brown, as always, and Mr. Ernest Ukwanga, thanks for being here, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Sir.